true Christ is. The ultimate fulfillment of the promise. The culmination of the plan. Of the covenant made between Abraham on the one hand and God on the other. Paul says so explicitly in Galatians 3, verse 29, in the following words, if you belong to Christ, then you are of Abraham's seed, and you are heir to the promise. For there was only ever one promise, and only one for the salvation of mankind. A wonderful text. In Hebrews chapter 2, verses 16, 17, 14, and 18, sublime this assertion by Paul in the following words. For surely it was not to angels that he came to help, but to Abraham's descendants. Consequently, he had to be made like in all things to his brothers, that he might be a merciful high priest before God to atone for the sins of the people. So then says verse 14, since children participate in flesh and blood, the true Christ has also participated equally. I repeat, equally. It is therefore on purpose that it is written in John chapter 3, verse 6, that what is flesh? Born of flesh is flesh, and that which is born of the Spirit is spirit. And again, the true Christ himself says, look at my hands. See my feet? Touch them. Spirit has neither bone nor flesh as I have. Luke chapter 24. Verse 39. From these two verses, it follows that one of two things. Either a being born carnal of the flesh and is natural dust and blood. Indeed, a being is born carnal of the flesh, because that which is drawn from dust cannot give birth to that which is spiritual, supernatural, celestial. What is earthly, carnal, can only give birth to, which is natural, animal, dust. Galatians 5:17 testifies that flesh and spirit do not mix. In 1 Corinthians 15, verse 47 and 48, it is written that either a being born spiritual of the Spirit, not a spirit, but of the Spirit with capital S. Because in the Bible, spirits are also called sons of God, since God is the Father of spirits. Therefore, of all the sons of God whom he created and still creates directly, personally, one by one, in exclusivity, without someone else's participation, as is the case, for example, with two co-ingenitors for human procreation. The Creator did not foresee the alternative Macedonia of a hybrid birth, of a composite birth, with a mixture of flesh and spirit, with an assortment of woman and spirit, with a cocktail mixing, a half share for a son of woman, with half a share, a son of a spirit, son of a woman, must be written with huge quotation marks, since the woman can't in any way give birth to a son without the active assistance from a male sire. Natural, carnal, earthly. By the way, son of woman is an expression that doesn't exist in the Bible. And half son of a spirit should also be written with immeasurable quotation marks, for the simple reason that, on the one hand, spirit cannot beget another spirit. The creation of spirits is God's exclusive monopoly. And on the other hand, unless it's by violation, as in Genesis 6, verses 1 to 7, which led to the flood, a spirit cannot give birth to a human being, according to Matthew 22:30, which states that God has not given spirits reproductive system. Hence the following eminently strategic clarification, regulating the juxtaposition of what is natural and what is carnal in men. We find this clarification extremely important in 1 Corinthians 15:46, which says in a few words that what is spiritual does not come first, What comes first is what is animal, carnal, natural. What is spiritual comes in a second phase, comes next. And so, sequentially, chronologically, and cumulatively, the human being is first entirely carnal, with 46 chromosomes, half of them, 23, from the female genita of the female parent, and the other half, 23, from the male side, carnal. And so, in a second phase, after the birth of a human being, in a totally carnal way, the human being receives from God a spirit. Therefore, every human being, at some point in his existence after birth, possesses a spirit from the Father of spirits. For in accordance with Numbers chapter 27, verse 16, Numbers 16:22, and Hebrews 12:9, God, Father of all flesh's spirits, not only the Father of the spirits of the prophets, as contemporary prophets like to repeat in reference to Revelation 22:6. And finally, with full awareness, a human being can receive the Spirit of God. Not all human beings have the Spirit of God, since it's a question of voluntary choice. In the final analysis, to be born, flesh and spirit, woman, and part spirit. In other words, partly carnal, earthly, and partly spiritual, celestial, is totally incompatible with the human species and falls instead of the cases provided for, punishable by the relevant provisions of the verses 1 to 7 and following of the book of Genesis in its chapter 6. So what shall we say? A hybrid Jesus Christ, born hybrid and humanoid, of a celestial spirit and of a woman of a flesh, even if she was a virgin, is a mixed, monstrous Jesus, partly carnal and partly spiritual, from the moment of conception and birth. And they still call him the Messiah. The Jesus Christ of Christianity is clearly not a descendant of David. Eminent preachers that you are, apostles, prophets, pastors, evangelists, priests, all of you teach the strange Jesus Christ, strange and foreign to the preaching of the biblical apostles. You preach a humanoid-born hybrid, the mother, but with no earthly biological father, without any carnal male natural progenitor. Your Jesus has for father a spirit. Since his father is a spirit, the Jesus Christ of Christianity has therefore absolutely no carnal attachment with the house of David